This was with reference to what I said earlier,
right,
and
Shalom,
other key factors that are spelled out in our thought statement that we've come to a grim assessment. It is with considerable concern that we set the time of the 2018 Doomsday clock and offer a plea to rewind the Doomsday clock. As of today,
and Shalom to the Akim that's pushing his truth and sincerity across the four winds. Now what you're seeing here on the Time YouTube channel,
it is 2 minutes to midnight.
This is the Doomsday Clock update, you know, and then they bring this out, you know, anytime world affairs are looking towards the or leaning towards nuclear war. So they push the hand closer to the midnight hour, man. And when it reaches fully upon the midnight hour, supposedly that would mean that we're in, you know, we're in the midst of a world war, of a nuclear world war, to be more precise. Now, this is another sign of the times that we're in, man. This is the sign of the times of the end, man. You know. Now, when you go on this website, thetrumpet.com, it says here, Doomsday Clock ticks ahead 2 minutes to midnight. So for the Doomsday Clock to be 2 minutes towards midnight, that means we're at the brink of world war, man. Right? But not through this organization, but through the scriptures, we know this to be true, man. Right? Because the scriptures say you gotta be a watchman in this truth, man. You gotta look for the signs of prophecy and look for the signs of our Lord's coming. And so far, many of those signs are in the works or have already come to pass. Now it says here, the minute hand of the symbolic Doomsday Clock has moved forward by 30 seconds on January 25th, bringing the time to just 2 minutes until midnight. The symbolic hour of global nuclear destruction. Now we know through the scriptures that global nuclear destruction will take place, man, by a form of World War III. By all the other nations combating, coming against Babylon. And then in the midst of that, you have our Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that will make his return. Right? So that's doctrine, man. That's actually going to happen in our lifetime. This is the nearest countdown. This is the nearest the countdown has been to Doomsday in 65 years. So in a whole 65 years, this clock has not been as close as 2 minutes to midnight, man. Right? Another indication of the current climate that we're in right now. The world is not only more dangerous now than it was a year ago, it is as threatening as it has been since World War II. Now, that segues into the first scripture I want to get here, which is Revelations chapter 11 and verse 14. And it says here, the second woe has passed. So this second woe is talking about World War II that was mentioned in this article, man. Right? Now that second woe meaning destruction. So that second World War II has passed, and behold, the third destruction cometh quickly. Right? So World War III is going to come quickly soon after World War II, man. And it hasn't actually been that long. Right? It said the world is not only dangerous now than it was a year ago, it is as threatening as it has been since World War II, wrote Lawrence Carouse and Robert Wozner. Certificates with the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists that runs the Doomsday Clock. So these guys are in charge of looking at world affairs and judging how close or how far off we are from nuclear war, right? That's their job, right? And, you know, they put it at 2 minutes to midnight, which says a lot, man. Which tells you that the current war climate that we're in the world right now is imminent, man. Anything can happen at any time. But of course, you know, according to the prophecy, certain things must take place before any of those significant missiles will drop, right? And what I mean by that is the RFID chip, man. The mark of the beast that's spoken of in the book of Revelations. That's going to have to come about first before any major signs of World War III can really commence, right? Now it says here, created in 1947, the Doomsday Clock is a symbolic measurement of the likelihood that mankind will begin nuclear war, with midnight representing the 0 hour, global destruction. The farthest from midnight the clock has ever stood was in 1991 when the Cold War era ended, and it was set at 17 minutes to midnight. The nearest to 0 hour it has ever been before yesterday was in 1953 when the clock sat at 2 minutes to midnight. So in 1953 it stood at 2 minutes to midnight, following the announcement that the United States and the Soviet Union had tested the thermonuclear devices within less than a year of each other, right? So ever since that time, the clock has not been closer to midnight, man. And there's a lot that's happened since that time, man. So that's something to consider, right? Now the clock is once again at 11:58 for only the second time in its 70-year history. The Doomsday Clock is as close to midnight today as it was in 1953 when Cold War fears perhaps reached their highest levels. Krauss and Wozner wrote, "To call this situation dire is to understate the danger." So they're saying that this is not even dire. That's understating the danger that the world is currently in concerning World War III and nuclear war, right? It is immediacy, Salakia, and its immediacy, the bulletin of the atomic scientist CEO Rachel Bronson said on Thursday. The greatest risk last year arose from the nuclear realm. The bulletin said in its report about the latest time change. The bulletin and the primary nation that has intensified the nuclear threat was North Korea, whose weapons development saw remarkable progress during 2017. The acceleration, and this is just nothing more than the weak now proclaim themselves to be strong. Now we know North Korea is not really a big deal, but North Korea is just another small nation that are now stepping up to the United States of America, man. Right? They're not taking any bullshit from the United States of America. Everyone is losing that fear from Babylon, man. No one fears Babylon like they used to. Right? America is losing their power upon the world. And in doing so, all these other smaller nations and countries are beginning to get more confident in their abilities in combating America, right? And it says here, the acceleration of the Pyongyang's test reflects new resolve to acquire sophisticated nuclear weapons. It said, adding that North Korea now has or soon will have the capabilities to match its verbal threats, right? Which obviously they don't have the capabilities right now, man. All these other smaller nations, they're building up their artilleries, man, right? Getting ready for that great and final day of judgment, man, right? A thermonuclear warhead and ballistic missile that can carry it to the US mainland. So that's the problem a lot of these smaller countries have had, is they don't have the artillery that's capable of carrying any of their ICBM missiles to the actual mainland of the United States of America. And without that capability, you really don't have a place in war, right? If you can't reach the mainland of your target, of your enemy, then you have no business to even be in war in the first place, right? Now it says here, nuclear progress increased with North Korea itself, other countries in the region, and the United States, the bulletin said. So this is why things are heating up in the world, right? Now this is Revelations 11:14 once again. The second woe is past, and behold the third woe coming quickly. That third woe is speaking of World War III, right? That third woe is speaking of World War III, and it's coming quickly, man, right? Within the blink of an eye, we're already in the midst of World War III. Technically, it has already started, man. It just hasn't started on a grand physical scale just yet, but it's in the words. Because before you have a big fight, what do? You have a lot of talk, right? Which we're going to read in Mark the 13th chapter. And it says here, I'll start from, I'll just get to the point. Verse 5, Mark 13:5. And Yahushua answered and began to say, take heed lest any man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. So that's what Yahushua was talking about. He was talking about these wars and these rumors of wars, man. Because you had a lot of wars since, you had World War I, you had World War II, you've had many wars, you've had, the whole situation with Iraq, Afghanistan, and now Iran, which is biblical prophecy. But the main war, the big triumphant war, hasn't actually commenced yet, man. And that's what Yahushua was detailing. He was saying, for many shall come in my name, saying that I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And when you hear of wars and rumors of wars, we're hearing a lot of wars and rumors of wars, man, right? With North Korea, making their empty threats towards the United States of America and vice versa. And then you have the big boy, you have Russia, right? You have the bear, also making threats of war and showing off their artillery and their capabilities. Then you have China, everyone is showing what they got, what their artillery possesses. Because they're basically trying to warn other countries that, look, man, if you mess with us, really they're warning America, if you mess with us, then we have the capabilities of annihilating you, man. Right? So that's what most countries are doing now. They're boasting and they're showing their artillery, man. But it's all going to flounder, because the scriptures also say, if Satan be cast against Satan, how should his kingdom stand? Right? So you have these Edomites with their military might. You have Russia, for example, and you have the United States of America. Now, really, they're both Edomite nations, man, right? So really, they're fighting against each other. Because they're Satan's seed upon the earth, man. They are Satan's seed upon the earth. So they're just fighting against each other, man. The Lord has set Satan against Satan, right? So they're going to devour themselves. And then Yahushua, when he comes in the midst, is going to finish the job off, man, right? With his men, which were the hopeful elect. Now it says here, and when ye shall hear of rumors of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not come, man. So Yahushua said we shouldn't be troubled, man. Because really, this is the time when our Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, is making his return to deliver his hopeful elect, man. So what have we got to worry about, man? We ain't got nothing to worry about, because the Lord is going to hide us from that danger, man. Right? His hopeful elect are going to be protected from that heat, from the nuclear thermal, from the ICBM missiles, man. The nuclear thermal heat, man. Verse 8. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows, man. Right? So we're seeing that. We're seeing nations rise against nations. Right? We're seeing kingdoms rise against kingdoms. And we're seeing earthquakes in diverse places. And I was speaking to a brother the other day about these earthquakes. When I was growing up, you didn't have such earthquakes all around the world at this level and scale and power, man. That was unheard of, right? That was unheard of, and it was not reported because it was not happening on the scale that is happening at now. You've always had earthquakes, small minor tremors around the world. That's a constant thing. But like how it is now, you're getting these 4.5, these 6.7s, these 8.1s and all of that. That was not happening before, man. Right? That's increase. So that is prophecy right there, man. Right? That's Yahweh Shem Yahushua's words coming to pass, because it was prophesied. Right? But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in synagogues ye shall be beaten. And that's what's going to happen to some of the men of the Lord, man. In this time, that's what's going to actually happen, man. Certain men of the Lord are going to be grabbed up, going to be arrested, and it's already happened. right? It's already been fulfilled. It's going to be happening on a greater scale in these times. It's going to be more sinister, right? And ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before the rulers and the kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. And that already happened to the apostles, man. The apostles of Great Millstone. When the whole 9/11 thing happened, you know, there was an incident where, you know, that they grabbed up the men of the Lord, man. But the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, delivered the men from that situation, man. Right? Now this is Isaiah 54 and verse 16. And it says, behold, I have created a smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. Now what is a smith? A smith is someone in particular that works with metals, man. Right? That makes things out of metals, man. That makes anything at a higher level skill. But when you look up the word smith, is someone that deals with metal, a smithsman, or they have a blacksmith that would make, you know, swords and artillery. And they said that bloweth the coals in the fire, because they will be using coal and fire in able to do their work. But it says here, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. So this is not talking about the production of swords as it would have been during that time period. This is actually talking about these scientists in these labs that are in charge of designing and developing these ICBM missiles and other nuclear instruments that are presently in the world held by nations at the moment. Right? That's specifically what this is talking about. Right? And I have created the waster to destroy. A waster is something that causes great destruction, man. Right? A waster is not a joke, man. A waster is something that creates great destruction and annihilation to whatever it reaches or touches, man. When that detonation button is pushed. And that's the way this world is going to be taken out, man, with that fuel of fire. Now this is Romans chapter 13 and verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake out of sleep, for now is your salvation nearer than when we believed, man. Right? So when we see all of these things coming to pass regarding the Doomsday clock, certain prophecies coming to pass, the RFID chip is in the midst, right? This is a time, you know, if you know about this truth, if you're in this truth, participating in pushing this word in spirit and truth, you're supposed to be waking up out of sleep. You're supposed to be more active than ever before, man. You know, regarding this truth, we got to keep this momentum going, man. Right? We got to keep this truth on the high, and as the main focus of our concern, man, is pushing this truth and watching these prophecies come to pass, because we're in the end days, man. That's very clear that we are indeed in the end days, man. And as things intensify in the world, it's going to become more apparent. Now I'll read that again. And knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than we had ever believed, man. You know? And with that, God willing, this lesson was edifying. And until next time, Shalom.